OK. It's always a pleasure to welcome travel writer and author Eoghan Corry to answer your questions. And as always, I've been completely gazumped and knocked over by the number of queries you have. Welcome, Eoghan. Look, I understand the Commission of Aviation Regulation has said that consumers are entitled to a refund if their flight is cancelled, as opposed to vouchers. I saw Michael O'Leary on Sky News saying, look, they had millions to process and they will do it, but it just takes time. Now, I think the best thing to do is just go straight into the queries and just answer them as best you can, because there are an awful lot of them. And let's start with this one. Aer Lingus have today cancelled our flight to Faro on the 4th of November for operational reasons. Can you ask Eoghan about this? Is it COVID related or something else, asks John.
It could be COVID related in that they're managing their fleet for later in the year. I'd be very surprised if it's directly fleet. If there are a whole lot of issues coming in for winter and for the summer 2021 schedule. One of them is the operation of airports. Are their airports going to close? It would be like 2 years ago, Ryanair had their summer scheduled for the following year loaded. They haven't done that for 2021. That's not just an academic point. It means that if somebody is told, I can't go July 2020, I can go July 2021, it makes the transfer of the flights easier. I'm surprised that the airlines haven't made it possible for people to change dates for longer than the 330-day period. I can't actually answer November, but there are a whole lot of related issues which are very, very important.
Okay. The Ryanair Air app says my flight to Athens on the 10th of May is not cancelled. Is this possible? Obviously, I'm not going, but would like my refund.
Absolutely possible. People don't get that the flights are still operating. We have not a lot with the Athens. We don't have a lot of flights out of Dublin. We have about 15, 18 going out and coming back every day. If those flights are not cancelled, you do not get your money back, your refund. But very importantly, for any flight before May the 20th, and May 20th is looming up on us now, you do get a free change. It doesn't mean that it's actually you can change without having to incur a fee, because what I'm noticing looking in is a lot of the flights that people are changing to are a little bit more pricey than they would be at this time of the year. But it does mean you do not incur the flight change fee. That's one of the issues that some people are a bit cranky about, but it is quite possible you would have an Athens flight that could operate. I'd be quite surprised if it doesn't get cancelled eventually. But key to this is do not decide to cancel yourself. Wait for them to cancel. If you decide to cancel, you're breaking your side of the contract. If they have to cancel, they're still under an obligation to get you where you're supposed to go.
Mihal in Dublin asks, can Eoghan throw any light if people who have just taken out travel insurance are entitled to a refund? I will not be making any foreign travel until early 2021. I took out travel insurance 5 weeks ago.
No, the travel insurance companies aren't giving the sort of waiver that some of the other insurance companies are under pressure, and the health insurance are under pressure because they're still supplying the service. As I say, flights are still operating. We've New York, Chicago, Boston flights out of Dublin. We've Doha flights out of Dublin. What is interesting about new policies is that insurance disruption, travel disruption cover, which was freely available up to the end of March, you pay a little bit extra for about €15 extra for an annual policy. There is a COVID clause being introduced in new policies. The reason for this is quite clear to any listener. Insurance companies are facing a huge bill.
Claire in Dublin has a different query. Please ask Eoghan about this. 8 of us booked a May bank holiday weekend self-catering bungalow in Dingle. The company is Stay YNA. It's a British company. Only offering voucher to be used by November. They are saying they are open. This doesn't suit. What can we do?
I would stay with the contract. I wouldn't pull out of it. And when I would go along with what these people are doing, and they're an intermediary. They're not actually the people you've booked with. They're somebody who takes a percentage to process the booking. Without knowing the case, but I can guess, and I wouldn't be far wrong, is that they're doing everything they can to kick the can down the road, to use that terrible cliche. They're doing everything to avoid having to face a big refund bill, which would bring them down. And I would say think about the change of date but also hold out for, exactly as you said, Michael Leary said, refunds are possible. They're not just all possible in the time scale that is legislated.
Well, speaking of Ryanair, Mags asks, I have a query regarding flying to San Sebastian in June with Ryanair. I don't feel comfortable travelling at all under the present circumstance. Would it be possible to obtain a voucher from Ryanair to use within 12 to 24 months?
Not at the moment. If you're booked before May the 20th, it doesn't matter where you're going and you feel nervous about it, you can change. If the flight is going, you can't get your refund. You can get your refund if the flight isn't going. But if you decide to change, it only applies as far as May the 20th that you can get a free change without a change fee. June doesn't fall into that. I'm not sure what will happen next, but it could well be that May the 20th gets extended. But as it stands, the flight to San Sebastian scheduled in June, you can't change it without incurring a fee. I would be really surprised, Ivan, if Spain opens by the end of June, the way things are stacking up with figures there. But that's not a decision for either Ryanair or for anybody outside the Spanish government.
Anne asks, we booked flights for Nice for 4 nights at the end of May. They now want us to reschedule before the 31st of August. They won't charge us to reschedule, but will charge us the additional cost of the flights, which were over €350 each. Good old Ryanair. We don't want to go at the peak time of August, but they won't give us an alternative of a refund or even to rebook for later next year. Are we entitled to a refund?
No, they're rescheduling you, and what a lot of people are finding, because the capacity is in June and July is not going to be what it would be for a normal June and July, and the normal logarithms of Ryanair apply. First few seats come very cheap. It gets dearer and dearer. So if you're pushing a lot of people from the April-May into those smaller number of flights up to the end of August, which is their policy, you're now going to end up with no change fee, but exactly what she has encountered, that the extra flight is going to be more expensive. I would expect some sort of negotiation on this. I would expect either Ryanair of their own accord, and they have been pretty flexible. I mean, people would be surprised to hear that they've actually been one of the best in class among European airlines on these issues. I'd be very surprised if they don't either take an initiative themselves to allow you to extend that date out beyond that, or that they come up with refund options or other options that wouldn't normally be available or aren't available under their terms and conditions. Or a third issue is, if we get some sort of movement in Dublin, that the Commission of Aviation Regulation is quite clear saying normal rules don't apply. It's also quite clear that they're living in cloud cuckoo land, because normal rules cannot apply under the current circumstances. What everyone in Ireland is waiting is some sort of leadership, some sort of direction from the Department of Transport across two other departments, but mainly the Department of Transport. What is the legality of vouchers if normal rules don't apply, if events have overtaken the existing legislation, which is that you were supposed to get a full refund within 2 weeks? What are the new rules? We've been waiting since before Easter for some sort of direction.
Okay, we'll have to go a bit faster on. Email from Kathleen. I booked a holiday for the 23rd of July to Canada. Fully booked for myself and my husband. With the pandemic, I'm thinking it's not safe to travel. My husband is high risk. Can we postpone till next year? Because I don't think we could relax on holiday.
Unlikely you'll be travelling. Again, the same applies. Do not break the contract. You decide it's your problem. You decide to cancel, it's your problem. They decide to cancel. They have to reschedule you. I'd be very surprised if you're not rescheduled, but your rights as they stand are that you have to wait for them to cancel.
Mary's obviously been on the sherry early. You look so sexy today, Ivan. This is me and my dickie. But I have a holiday booked for Split in Croatia, departing with Ryanair on the 2nd of July for 6 nights, 2 adults, 4 kids. We also have accommodation booked for transfers. We booked through a travel agency. What are our options now? Asked Mary.
Travel agent is safe. Your money is going to be returned. It's bonded. There may be a delay in that because of current circumstances. But if the flight goes ahead And if Croatia is open, which is unlikely as we speak, you will lose your money unless you go. But as it stands, with lockdown, you will be offered either a new date or a refund. That isn't how it is at the moment. That's how I'm anticipating things will develop.
All right, this person wants to know if they're entitled to either a money back from the travel agent or will it be vouchers. Her circumstances are a flight out of Verona from Dublin on the 2nd of June with Aer Lingus, returning back to Cork with Volitia Airline, VOLETEA, on the 13th of June. We booked a hotel. Travel agent contacted me 2 weeks ago suggesting cancelling hotel and waiting to see what happens with flights. So voucher or refund?
Good advice from the travel agent. It's a little bit close to take off. Our Aer Lingus are offering a 110% voucher if you book direct, but that doesn't apply through the travel agent. You're entitled under the Package Holiday Directive to a full refund. That's Cloud Cuckoo Land. Travel agents will all have to close down if they could pay out the level of refunds. Wait and see and try and get another date, and the travel agent will be doing the negotiating on your part with the hotel, which makes life easier. Your money is bonded, by the way, with a travel agent.
Philip, I've booked a flight through Trip Air. I've requested a full refund as the flight has been cancelled. We are due to fly this coming Tuesday from Amsterdam to Stockholm. Trip Air have sent me an email to contact SAS Airlines, which I did. They told me they only refund tickets booked through their own website. So I recontacted Trip Air and just keep getting the same email which tells me to contact SAS. Have I any chance of getting a refund?
Very, very difficult territory because you book through an intermediary. There are loads of these guys. Some of them are selling illegally. They're selling, for instance, Ryanair flights illegally. Ryanair doesn't allow them to do it. If you're booked directly with the airline, they have a record of and where the money is. If you've booked with an intermediary, unless the money is actually landed with the airline, you're not going to get it back. Some of the intermediaries are being honoured, others are not. You're in difficult territory there.
All right, but people, Russia, New York, Malaga, all over the place, and I haven't got to half of them yet. Where can people get this information?
There are about 6 or 7 countries open, and we have flights still going directly to it. The information is scattered in many, many places. The website flightrights.ie, that's where you go to if you, in normal circumstances, if you've got an issue with an airline, and they're very, very good, particularly with EU airlines. There isn't a central point.
We could give out your mobile, would that be?
Absolutely. But everybody has it already, Ivan, I think, with the way it's going at the moment. But the thing is that let's get down to our 2 main airlines. We're lucky in Ireland. We have Ryanair and we have Aer Lingus. Both of them are committed to refunds. Ryanair, I think the biggest mistake when they emailed everyone last Monday was not saying, if you've already got your application in for a refund, don't do anything else. It's pretty simple. refundclaims.ryanair.com. That's the link to fill out that form. They're not going to be back in a very quick period, but they are committed to giving you a refund for a cancelled flight. Aer Lingus, manage my booking. You go in, you fill out your form, and you say, I want a refund, not a voucher. Both of them are doing it. There's very, very few countries where the airlines are viable and have enough cash to actually honour refunds. We're lucky in Ireland.